Hello everyone, welcome back to Plan B TV talk shows. In today's videos, we're going to be discussing, let's say, a one life story that touches my heart. I decided to share these videos amongst my fans. Just as it is, one of the survivors of the 2006 ADC plane crash shares chilling accounts of the crash. SH0CKING Amunda, now popularly known as SH0CKING, is one of the survivors of the ADC plane crash that occurs in October 2026. In a new video she shared, she narrated how the plane crash happened, how she narrowly survived, and what it felt like seeing the bones of those who died and who survived in the plane crash. The ADC plane crash Esther survived occurred on October 29, 2006. It was a Boeing 737 operated by ADC airline. The plane crash claimed so many lives, including that of the then Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Mohammed Maskido, his Senate son, Alhaji Badamasi Maskido, as well as Sokoto Deputy Governor, Alhaji Gamba Mohammed. The flight carried 100 passengers and 5 crew members, departed Lagos to Sokoto with an intermediate stop in Abuja. Shortly after taking off from the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, the plane crash broke up and caught fires in the feed. Initially, it was reported that 98 people were reported dead, but Esther Amunda was later found to be alive, which made them to recount 97 people died, including a woman working on the feed who was reportedly killed after being struck by the debris from the crash. So I'm going to be leaving you guys with Esther Amunda to narrate her own personal life story, and don't forget to comment and share your thoughts. If you want to get the full gist of this video, please go to our own YouTube channel where you can get all the details. Thank you for staying to Plan B TV talk show. Do not forget to always come back to get more celebrity gist. Thank you all very much and stay tuned with Plan B TV. Until we meet again.
Hi, my name is SH0CKING and I would like to share with you the testimony of how I survived a plane crash. On the 29th of October 2006, my life as I knew it changed forever. I was in Abuja waiting for a return flight to Sokoto, where I was serving as a youth corper in the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAAN. I was a duty flight announcer, which sounds more glamorous than it actually was. On this day, I'd never been to Abuja before, but because or by virtue of the fact that I was serving in the airport, I just looked around and I was looking for frequent flyers to see when they would get up, so I would just go along with them. As we came out of the airport, about to board the plane, the northern heat gave way to torrential rain. And I remember thinking to myself that, oh, can the pilot fly in this weather? But then I also thought to myself that they probably don't cancel flights every time that it rains. And so we got on board. Now, I used to joke with myself that, patience was not one of my virtues. And so I really liked to sit at the front of the plane. But on this day, it wasn't an option because the flight was full. And so they had given me a seat in the middle. And so there I was contemplating where my seat was. And then I heard somebody call my full name at the time, SH0CKING Amunda. And I wondered who knew me on that flight. I looked up and it happened to be the other Esther. So there was another Esther who was serving at the airport. I was with the airport authority. She was with the airline ADC. And so she was sitting right at the back of the plane. And so normally for someone who was already uncomfortable sitting at the middle of the plane, it was very unusual for me to go and say hi to her at the back of the plane, and not just say hi, but actually sit down beside her. But I say something told me now, with hindsight, I know that it was the Holy Spirit. And so I sat down beside her, and that morning, before I had set off from my fellow corpor's house, I had opened my devotional to read the Bible reading for the day, and it was James 3 from verse 14 to 17 that says, in paraphrase, it says, "Who are you that says today you will do this or tomorrow you will do that? That life is like a vapor." And so, as anybody who is about to take a trip, you pray and say, "Oh Lord, let my life not be like a vapor," but you don't read it thinking that anything out of the ordinary is going to happen to you. And so I sat down beside her and I prayed, especially remembering, my reading from the morning, but, we always thought that it was going to be a regular flight. And so we took off. And this was around like 10:40 in the morning, and we're gaining altitude. All of a sudden, the plane dropped. And we thought it was normal turbulence, and so everybody was shouting Jesus, shouting Allah, but we didn't think anything was going to happen. Shortly after that, again, the plane dropped again. By this time, even though it was 11 o'clock in the morning, the emergency lights had come on in the plane. Outside was dark. The Christians were shouting Jesus. The Muslims were shouting Allah. Children were crying. It was a little bit of mayhem. But still, we thought it was just really bad turbulence, and we're waiting for the pilot to regain control of the plane. Shortly after, I look out of the window, and for lack of a better way to describe it, I hear a loud bow. I look back in front of me, and I'm sitting exactly the way I was sitting in the air, just that in front of me now was grass. The plane had crashed. Now, people ask me, did you black out? What happened? And I always say to them that before that day, I believed in God, but that day I believed in the power of angels, because literally the same way I was sitting in the air is how I was landed on the ground. And you would say, okay, maybe all of us that were in that, segment of the plane, that's how we landed, but that wasn't true, because Esther, who was sitting beside me, the impact of the crash flung her somewhere else. And so it was like a dream. People always ask me, how did it feel? And I say it felt a little bit like a cartoon where you're like, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. But I did not know where I was, and I wasn't quite sure what was happening. And so because I like to travel light, I had my hand luggage under my seat, and it was still there, thanks be to God. At the time I had the Motorola Razr. I don't know if you remember that phone. So the clip was in my belt hole, and the phone was on the side. Picked up the phone, put it back in the clip, and then I started to feel my way out of where I was. As I was doing that, I heard somebody shout, oh, somebody help me, and it turned out to be the other Esther. So the impact had flung her somewhere else. And so I unhooked her from her seat, and she had a dislocated hip, and then we made our way out of the debris of the plane. Now we're in a plane, and we had no idea where the plane had gone, how far it had gone before this happened. So I did not know if I was in Kafanchan or in Kebbi. All I knew was that I was in the middle of a field somewhere, and it was raining, and I was just like, God, what is going on? Esther, when she saw that I had my bag with me, she said, she had valuables in her own bag, and so she went back into the debris of the plane to go find her possessions. As we were still trying to figure out what was going on, I saw three ladies, one on top of each other, and the one on top was strapping the other two beneath her. These turned out to be the daughters of the Kogi state governor. Now, there was also another guy who was sitting on the floor, spread-eagled, and he was just looking. And I remember thinking to myself that, Uncle, please help now. We're all in shock here. It was after the fact that I realized that there was nothing he could do because both of his legs were broken. And so I was trying to remove the lady on top, and I saw things that I never want to see again in terms of bone showing and all of that stuff. And I remember her crying out in pain. And I said to her, you're alive. They can fix your body, but thank God at least that you are alive. Pulled her off, and then the one in the middle, because she was Hausa origin, her wrapper had gotten entangled in her, because that's their native dress, isn't it? So her wrapper had gotten entangled with her seatbelt. So unhooked her, pulled her off, and then I went back to where we were standing. There was a lady who was standing, her hand, and her leg were broken, and she was crying about her brother. And I genuinely thought at the time that what had happened was the plane had broken in half. So we were on one side, and there was another side that had other people who were in a similar position as us. Because, the northern tradition is that, the men sit in front and the women sit at the back. So I just thought that they were on one side and we were on another. And I was like, you're alive. I'm sure they'll find your brother and your brother will be fine. But that was not to be the case. Shortly after, we saw villagers come out, and we realized then, because of what they had said, that the plane had crashed outside of the airport. But the people in the airport did not know that the plane had crashed just outside. And so the villagers ran into the airport to let them know that the plane had crashed, and also to find transportation for those of us that were able to walk. And so they came with a pickup truck to Lagos. Okay.
Alright everyone, this is where we end the program today. Thank you very much for watching this video to the very end. But first of all, I want to appreciate everyone that will be watching my YouTube channel. And if it's your first time of coming across our program, why not pause this video to subscribe to our YouTube? There are a lot of amazing videos that are waiting for you. For those that have been watching my videos and commenting and sharing my videos, I want to use this medium to appreciate you all. Thank you very much. See you on our next video. Until we meet again, stay tuned with Plan B TV. Peace out.
You are welcome to the shining here. We had to give you the news to tell you what in the south. Put up your lights, put up your comments, share it to your friends, and share to your family. Don't forget to subscribe to get notified. And I see the show you support. Now say God bless you too.
Dance on the bed.
Plan B TV, Plan B TV, Plan B TV. Oh, Plan B TV, Plan B TV, Plan B TV, Plan B TV.